I'm not used to wearing dangly earrings. I decided to just put some other earrings in for these videos that I'm filming today. I kind of like it. Hello everyone and welcome back. So today I'm going to do the YouTube made me buy it tag, but like affordable edition. I went through my makeup collection and pulled out the most, you know, YouTube made me buy it type of things, but there was a lot. So I decided I'm just going to split it into an affordable and then like a high-end edition. So there's just two separate videos, so there's less products. So it's not just makeup that's in here, there's a couple of things that aren't. So if you guys are interested in seeing the YouTube made me buy it affordable edition, then just keep watching. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys is probably something that is absolutely no surprise to you, and I reckon most YouTubers or beauty YouTubers at one point will say that yes, YouTube made them buy this type of thing. This is the Covergirl Lash Blast Fusion Mascara. I have been using this pretty much since I started wearing makeup in general. I didn't start my channel here till I think I was 16. 15 or 16, something like that. Might have even been 14, I can't remember. I know it's been like 6 years, so probably 15. And I was wearing makeup little bits from the age of 12. So when I was 12, I was just wearing like lip balm, a little bit of face powder, and some mascara. That's basically all I wore when I was 12. The face powder was just to cover up my red face, and that's what face powder basically did back then. Like, it worked. But the Covergirl Lash Blast Fusion, I believe this was the first mascara I ever tried, and I do really, really like it. Now, if I have a full-on eye makeup look like this, it is not going to be massive dramatic mascara. However, I love this for my lower lashes. I will buy this just to use on my lower lashes. This is a more recent YouTube made me buy it purchase. However, I just had to try this, and it is the E.l.f 16-hour Camo Concealer. I bought mine in the shade Fair Beige, and this is actually too pale for me, much too pale for me. Unlike the Colourpop concealer, I cannot use this as an eye primer. It is too thick and creamy, and it still does dissolve and, you know, go creasy and oily and things like that, like what normal concealer does on my eyelid. So the only concealer I can use as an eye primer is actually the Colourpop one, and I have it as my eye primer right now, and honestly, it works. I do not like this on its own, and I don't know if it's because I bought a shade that is too pale and it highlights everything. However, I mix this in with nearly every concealer I wear because holy hell, this is literally the only concealer that actually covers under my eyes. I can wear my Focallure Big Cover, but because it is so dewy, then when I set it, it loses some of its coverage because it like separates because it's so dewy. So when I set it, this is too thick and creamy and matte and too rich and too matte for me to use on its own. I have a very big problem with my under eyes looking nice. So I can put this on and it'll cover everything and it'll brighten, it'll be full coverage, but it'll look so dry and heavy. I've even tried not setting this, but then under my eyes feel like heavy and sticky, so I have to set it. But I mix this in basically with every single concealer that I wear. A product I have here is not only this product, but it is also this brand, this company, and this store like in general, and it is LUSH products. This is actually a lump of Honey I Wash the Kids soap. I buy a big chunk and then I'll cut like individual little slices off rather than keeping the one massive chunk in the shower. Also because the one massive chunk, my mother knows that it's from LUSH and probably throws it out. But this is the Honey I Wash the Kids soap, and I probably never would have tried anything from LUSH, never even looked at the store, never even thought twice about it if I wasn't on YouTube. So there is a YouTuber called Ashley. Her handle used to be Beauty Addict 101 or something like that. She was super popular like 2009, 10, 11, 12, and honestly she was the person that's like inspired me to start my YouTube channel. I remember when I first got my first iPod Touch, I would basically spend all day watching her videos on YouTube. I've actually saved her makeup tutorial playlist. I ended up unsubscribing from her because she started to get really like out there, and nothing against her, she just started to get really out there and doing, you know, like rap videos. She was no longer like a beauty YouTuber. It was like she was just trying to be trendy and cool. She's way too orange. Like, I'm sorry, her tan is orange, but she was the person that inspired me to go to LUSH, start a YouTube channel, and just start wearing makeup in general. Like, a lot of her things, she was obsessed with the Covergirl mascara, things like that. But her favorite was the Honey I Wash the Kids soap. And since the first time I bought some of this, I have absolutely loved it. And I know I said I was stopping using Lash products, but I have actually since found the cause of my hives and my breakouts, and I've been using this for like weeks now, and it's still like, I'm fine, haven't reacted to it. I absolutely love the Honey I Wash the Kids soap and the Rockstar one. Those are my two favorites. I have some lip glosses here, and these are the NYX Butter Glosses. I have a couple of other colors, but these were the two that were on top. I probably never would have looked at these if it wasn't for the fact that a few years ago they were all over YouTube and everyone loved them. People were mentioning them in like their drugstore favorites of the year and things like that. And it wasn't really until NYX really started getting like a higher quality and they really blew up. But yeah, I probably never would have looked at these. This brand NYX in general, I probably never would have looked at. In terms of makeup, if I never did any of this, I probably would have looked at Maybelline, L'Oreal, possibly Revlon, and then the rest of it, like the $2, $3 stuff. Honestly, these are only $9.95, but I probably never would have looked at these twice. This color, Madeline, this is my second one. I honestly freaking love this. Even if I go somewhere overnight and just pack like a very small amount of makeup, this always goes with me. I absolutely love it, but the formulas of these I love. First off, the scent. They smell like vanilla cake batter, which is amazing. But they're just super creamy. They are exactly as they say, a butter gloss. They feel like hydrating gloss, buttery smooth on your lips. They are all like creamy colors. None of them are like glittery or shimmery, so you don't have to worry about that glitter and things like that getting in it. They are all like all smell really nice. This one's another one I have called Fortune Cookie. I have eye bases here. So one of these is a Maybelline color tattoo. This one's just the color that I grabbed, which is barely branded, which as you can see is very, very well loved. I actually think I need to buy another one because this is just dried up. And this one is a NYX Jumbo pencil. I actually depotted into a Maybelline color tattoo base. I accidentally bought a second silver one, didn't realize I already had it. This is the NYX Jumbo pencil in pure gold, and honestly I don't think I would have looked at these, seen these, or even bothered to use these if it wasn't for people on YouTube. The NYX Jumbo pencils were out for a lot longer than the Maybelline color tattoos. I have to say I do prefer the Maybelline ones. I can put them all over my lid and like accidentally get some in my crease and it won't, you know, crease or budge or anything like that. Whereas the NYX ones, I do have to be careful. If I put too much on, then it can crease and go a little bit gross. I cannot use any cream eyeshadow whatsoever if I use my, what's it called, Urban Decay eye primer potion. I bought it back from my dad's and I'm trying to use it, but it's just such a struggle because it is not a primer made for my skin, really. But I cannot use these on my eyes at all because that eyeshadow base actually makes my eyeshadow crease. Almost as bad as if I wore concealer as my eye primer. But yeah, probably I honestly would have just stuck to a basic eyeshadow palette. Probably something like the Urban Decay Naked Basics. Like, I'm not saying that exact palette, but something where it's just got 5 very basic neutral eyeshadows in it. Of course, I love my metallic shades and my bright colors, but I probably never would have looked at these or considered them unless, you know, people really raved about them. So I have a concealer here, and this is the Physicians Formula Insta Ready Full Coverage Concealer. This is very similar to the MAC Pro Longwear, where it's the little bottle with the pump. My lid's on cockeyed, I can't fix it. This is in the shade Light Pale, and I bought this because I saw Taylor from The Taylor use one of these. Now, I believe she must have used a much lighter shade. There must be shades lighter than this. But I bought this because I don't know if Physicians Formula is being discontinued in Australia in stores. I have no idea. My actual locals chemists and that don't sell Physicians Formula in store or online. The closest one to me is probably like a 30-minute drive, the store. Other than that, I was actually way down the Central Coast when I saw they had like everything Physicians Formula in a massive clearance bin. Unfortunately, it wasn't when I was working, so I would have grabbed nearly like everything. But I grabbed this because I saw Taylor from The Taylor use this Insta Ready concealer like 2 years ago nearly, and she said she felt like it was a comparable concealer to the MAC Pro Longwear. She liked it, but she didn't think that it was like absolutely amazing. And I thought that the products that she likes but doesn't absolutely love usually end up working pretty well on me. So a lot of the things that she absolutely raves about or, you know, half likes tend to work. The ones that she flat out says she doesn't like, we have very similar skin. I'm very similar to her in terms of how things work and stuff like that, but I have to blend my concealer in with a sponge. I cannot actually use a brush whatsoever. It looks terrible. So I picked this up because I thought I will try it, even if it's not discontinued or something. Like, I can just try it and see if it's a comparable thing to MAC Pro Longwear. And I do own MAC Pro Longwear, and I have to say this is very similar, but they are different. MAC Pro Longwear on me is a lot smoother, feels like a lot of a thinner formula. My color that I have I can use on its own. This I have to mix. This is way too dark. Like, honestly, this is almost too dark for me to use as foundation. And I like my foundation to be a bit dark, so I cannot use this on its own. But the coverage is there. And things like that, but I have to say this is a bit thicker and a bit more dewy than my MAC Pro Longwear. So if I was going somewhere and wanted to look really good, I would use the MAC Pro Longwear over this one. Honestly, I think I would buy a MAC one over this just because the MAC one comes in a lot more shades. Here I have the two Kathleen Lights Colourpop eyeshadow palettes. These are the only two Colourpop palettes I own. However, I was going to buy Colourpop palettes. I think I would have bought Colourpop products regardless, just because they are so widely used. I have friends that use it and talk about it and things like that. So I think, honestly, I would have probably eventually tried something. Now, I have to say these two specific palettes were a YouTube made me buy it. I was going to buy myself 1 or 2 palettes anyway from my birthday last year. But Kathleen had released the Dream Street one, and then like 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, she launched the Zodiac palette. And in the end, I decided to grab both of them. The Dream Street was still relatively new, that if I did a first impression on it, it still wasn't going to be outdated. So I grabbed them both. This Zodiac palette, apart from the Anastasia Prism palette, this was the second purchase I had of a product that was new. I basically bought the Anastasia palette like a week after it launched. And this one, I bought it basically while the hype was going on. And to me, I was very proud of myself because all of these things, like, I mean, they launched ages ago. This e.l.f. concealer probably was something I bought in the midst of it, but I haven't mentioned it much. But everything else, it's like I've bought it discovered it years later. So I absolutely freaking love these. In the summer, the Dream Street palette is like my go-to. I have this amazing look that I do with Spark. When the weather actually starts to warm up, I think I'm going to film that look. I don't want to quite tell you just yet. I want to keep it a bit of a secret. I'm sure you guys have done that look anyway, but there's a look I really want to film with Spark, and I do use it all the time. But the shadows in this are amazing. It's making like some of my Kat Von D eyeshadows in that look really old. Now, mind you, I've had my Kat Von D palette for 5 years. I've had this one for less than 1. So, I mean, obviously, you know, my Kat Von D one has had some use. But, I mean, these eyeshadows are so absolutely creamy. I used the colour Kaleidoscope for the first time a few weeks ago, and my god, I don't know why I didn't use it sooner. It's amazing. I used the colour Water Bearer. The only colour I haven't used in here is Mermaid Boy because I don't really have a reason to use it. I do need to try it one day, but I mean, I don't use blue eyeshadow that often. If I'm going to do a colour on me, I prefer to use purple because that goes with everything. Blue I find more just goes with my eyes. Purple I find goes with everything else. But I mean, even the blue shade is like amazingly blendable. If it was up to me, I would switch out either Stardust or Twinkle. To me, they are basically the same eyeshadow, just with different undertones. One's a red copper and the other one's like a pinky brown. So that's like the yellowy, reddy copper, and that's like the, you know, rosy gold base. To me, they're the same color, just a different undertone, but they are very nice. But if it was up to me, I'd just switch one of those out with a different shade. I unfortunately can't use Moony on my inner corner because it just goes flat out orange, but I love this. And the Zodiac palette is absolutely stunning. If I want a shimmery shade on my lid, I'm sorry guys, I'm gonna have to hold this upside down. If I want a shimmery shade on my lid, I don't know, like, and I want a color or something, I go with these. That orange is insane. The color, the Leo, that's honestly my favorite gold eyeshadow. I thought the gold that's in the Anastasia Prism palette was my absolute favorite, but this has taken it. The other day I did a look where I actually mixed the gold and the orange together and it was incredible. The only color I haven't played around with much, which is actually very surprising, is the Pisces. It seems to be, for me, a bit too chunky, but I still have to play around with it. The color, the Taurus, I have to be very careful because it actually comes out like straight up yellowy orange on my eyes. So a lot of the time I will either just use my bronzer in my crease, or I'll take this shade here, which is Shooting Star, as my transition shade instead. So that's the only thing. To me, can't use just this palette because I can't use that shade as a transition shade. I will go in with, you know, my bronzer or something else, and I can use that in my crease. The color Virgo is like the perfect chocolate brown. I do have a bit of issues getting it to blend on my eyes, but other than that, like, once I blend it and everything, it's amazing. The Sagittarius purple looks amazing on my eyes. Honestly, like, this has made me fall in love with Colourpop eyeshadows. I actually have a perfume here, and this is Vera Wang Princess. This is the original perfume. I did not actually purchase this. I did get this as a Christmas present like 4 or 5 years ago. However, I asked for it because it was a YouTube favorite. I hadn't really smelt it, but I wanted it. And I mainly wanted it because it was Anna from Anna Saccone's absolute favorite perfume. It was the only thing she wore, and I wanted it for that reason. I absolutely adore Anna, and I used to watch her videos religiously. I don't watch as many of her new videos now. She doesn't put out as many as she used to, which is completely fine, but I will go back and watch her videos from like 2012, 2013, and even from the very beginning when she was recording with that really old camcorder. I absolutely loved it. I love those type of videos, and I remember for years and years and years she said she wanted this, and even if I hated the scent, I wanted this perfume because she said she used it, and then I saw a couple of other YouTubers mention it. I can't remember their names or anything, and I thought, well, for once, I actually am going to get something that YouTubers want, because I always felt like that really lame kid that did the same thing as everyone else but never had the same stuff. Like, yeah, I did makeup tutorials when I was 15, but I never had MAC. I used the $2 stuff. Like, I mean, I always felt like that real lame kid that was never able to have the same products. And when I got this, I felt like I was, you know, the best person on the planet. Finally had something that all these YouTubers love, and I actually do love it. I can't wear it as much as some of her other ones. I have a few of her other perfumes. This one's a little bit too intoxicating because everyone and their mother wears this. Like every girl I went to TAFE with used to spray this. A couple of people I used to work with actually kept a bottle in their bag and they would spray it all day, but they would spray so much it would be like intoxicating. So I am kind of sick of that scent because I just see it, I smelt it everywhere for so long. But now when I do wear it, I feel like so girly. Like, it's just light. It's a very light fragrance, very girly, and I love it. I have the Fresh and Flawless powder here by Australis. My particular one is in the color light beige, and I freaking love this powder. This is my favorite coverage powder, pressed powder. So I have ones that are matte. I have other translucent ones. This is my favorite one that adds coverage, and the reason why I bought this was because of Shannon from ShanXO. She used to use this, obviously a darker shade because she self-tans. She used to use this all the time, and there was like Chloe Morello, Lauren Curtis, Crystal Conti, is that how you pronounce her name? I can't remember. They all said that this is basically a dupe for MAC Studio Fix powder. I use so much powder, I basically refuse to buy a high-end one because I will go through it so quickly that honestly it's not worth my money at the moment. I want to try it. There's a couple I want to try, but I want to buy like the small sizes just to see if it's worth it. So in my mind, I thought if this is a dupe for the MAC powder, then I will buy this instead. And honestly, I like this enough and I love this enough. I don't see how the MAC powder can be better, if that makes sense. This just, it literally does what it says, fresh and flawless. It sets my face, makes it matte but also smooth. It adds coverage to my face. So if I put on my foundation and I don't have as much coverage here, or it's, you know, lacking coverage on my nose, this will amp it up. I can honestly use this just as a powder on my face and I'll be fine. I really like it. I have the Carly Bybel with BH Cosmetics original collaboration. I really wish I got the second one. I really should buy that if it's still available. But I got this and I absolutely love it. I actually used a little bit of some of these colors in my year 12 formal. I use these colors so much, and I think this is a green-eyed girl's dream. The colors and the tones here are beautiful. These two shades come out a lot more rosy and pink on the eyes than what you expect. But the metallic shades, if you put, say, the Maybelline Color Tattoo underneath and then put one of these shimmery shades on your lid, it's going to be beautiful. I can get the softest, most nice, girly, feminine, you know, barely there look, or I can have like an intense, amazing, rosy purple look. I can get a nice rosy bronzy shade as well. The only shade I have to say I don't use that much is this dark brown here. I do use it, but it seems to be a dark brown with glitter in it, but once I have everything else on, it seems to blend in. The only shades I don't really use are these two highlighters, just because they don't go with my skin tone. I do use them as eyeshadows actually a little bit, so I do like that. These two highlighters I tend to use on my face and I really like them. Both of them are actually unique to me. This one is a white with a pink undertone. I do have a flat out pink highlighter. Actually, I have two. And this is still different than both of them. And this is like a beigey gold. So it's not gold. It's not like Champagne Pop. It's not like any of the others I own. So they're both actually fairly unique. But Honestly, these colors, they blend really nicely. They look amazing on my eyes. I love every look that I get. This is another favorite that I'm sure quite a few people can actually say YouTube made them buy it. This is the Nivea Aftershave Balm, the sensitive one that people were using for a face primer. And I still use it. I don't know anyone that still uses this as a face primer, but I do. Not as much as I used to, but I do. I find that it really is nice to put on, and it will soften the surface of my skin. So I can have really bad texture here. I can have all my breakouts across my chin, particularly the first week after getting my injection. I get the depot injection instead of taking the pill, so my face breaks out really bad for about a week after getting it. And I find that this, it'll soften my skin, it'll fill in my pores. It naturally smooths out my skin, so it's not like I'm wearing a silicone primer. It just naturally smooths out my skin, and at the same time softens those surface bits to where my foundation's not going to cling to it. It's not going to emphasize that, oh, I have lumps there. It's not going to show that I have horrific texture on my forehead, and it actually adds a nice hydrated plumpy glow to my face, and I really like it. I got my Tresemme Heat Protectant. Everyone and their mother was using this a few years ago. I'm pretty sure quite a few people still use this, but honestly a lot of people are turning to the slightly more expensive hair care ranges, and the organic and natural ones, which is totally fine. And I have to say, I bought this new bottle, and then as a free gift or something, I got my Garnier Heat Protectant, which I have mentioned in my couple of previous favorites videos. Thought I hated the Garnier one, so I would use this, and I find out I actually prefer the Garnier one. If I actually put the hair oil in and really condition my hair, my Garnier Heat Protectant works twice as much as this. Now, I'm not saying the Garnier one actually protects my hair more. Every time I've used this since I bought the Garnier one, my hair does not straighten properly. It goes back to being fuzzy. It goes massively thick at the back, at the top at the back here, and I will end up with wavy roots, and then the rest of my hair will just be fuzzy. I find when I use this, my hair does not straighten. I have to say this is probably the reason why I was having issues with my hair for so many years, is because I was using this heat protectant. It probably wasn't my straightener, it was probably this. Again, this is something that blew up all over YouTube a couple of years ago. Everyone and their mother bought it. So did I, and I actually ended up having it in 3 different colors because I love it and need it that much. It is the Dermacol Makeup Cover Foundation. I use the shade 208 as my normal regular shade. I do actually have the shade 207, which is basically the same but a bit more pink. So for example, today I used my Miss Rose Matte Foundation. I don't know if you can see, but it actually goes super yellow. It doesn't oxidize red, it oxidizes yellow, which I was very surprised because I'm super yellow and I've never had a foundation be too yellow for me. So if I want to amp up the coverage or have it looking perfect, I will mix in a bit of 207 because it has a bit more pink, so it will make it look a little bit better. And I also have the shade 213, which is my tan shade. So I actually really want to try mixing this in with my moisturizer. I don't know why I haven't done that, but I do really like this. I just have to be super careful. It is so waxy. I have to basically bake my whole face in order to make it set. If I just go ahead and try and use a pressed powder now, it goes really gross. So yeah, I will basically mix the colors in according to what shade I am, things like that, but I absolutely love it because it does add coverage. For a while there I was using it as concealer because really until I found this, nothing was covering under my eyes, nothing looked nice, nothing looked good, but I do like it, but I'm not as amazed by it as what some people are. And my last product is the Rimmel Stay Matte Powder. This actually was the first powder I ever tried, and I have quite a story to go with this. I went through 3 or 4 compacts of these. It was the first powder I ever tried, and I absolutely loved it, thought it was amazing. And then all of a sudden, when my nose started playing up really bad, I actually thought I was allergic to this. It has, if you've used this, you know what it smells like. It has that just generic, that strong, like almost like perfumed baby powder scent. And every time I use this, I would sneeze and sneeze and sneeze. And there has to be something in this that I probably was allergic to. Yes, this has talc and mica and things like that in it. It probably was the talc, but I used to just sneeze and sneeze and sneeze. So my brain associated this with me not feeling well. So I stopped using it for like 3 years because I freaking hated it. Then once I got my nose fixed and everything, I thought one day, well, I'll try it again. I bought another one and I absolutely love it. It is much different to this powder. If I want a heavy duty matte pressed powder, this is the way to go. It doesn't look heavy or anything like that on my face, but this one does look lighter, but it doesn't look heavy, massively heavy on my face. It does set everything. It says lightweight mattifying, lasts up to 9 hours. I thought, geez, by now we'd have the whole 36-hour thing down. It says helps to minimize the appearance of pores and hide imperfections. And I have to say, like, if my foundation's looking textured over my pimples on my chin, it will kind of smooth over that, and you know, it'll smooth over. You can see my foundation's kind of, it's not creasing, but it's highlighting the indentations I have on my face. It won't do that. It'll hide my foundation sinking into that line on my forehead. But this is my like heavy duty, I need my makeup to last. I need it to look, you know, I need it to be matte for a while. This is the powder I go to. I have one opened, and then I actually have this backup, and I'm just about to actually use this one. So I have to have an opened one and a backup at all times. This is the affordable products of YouTube Made Me Buy It. So if you guys have any suggestions as well for other affordable products you guys think I should try and own, then please, you know, try the product and buy it. Please let me know, because I'm always willing to, you know, consider it and things like that. Keep an eye out for my high-end version of this, so hit the subscribe button down there and hit the little bell so you get notified when I do the high-end video. I have multiple other videos coming which are ready to be edited and uploaded, so also keep an eye out for that and hit the bell for the notification. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!